You're watching Mainland News. I'm Joya Devine. In this week's news roundup, LGNZ provides significant midwinter boost for Nelson, TPP protest outside Rutherford Hotel, political leaders address regional development, fuel thefts concern police, Transport Minister encourages Rocks Road feedback, blessing of the fleet draws thousands, local musician takes out music video award, and bitter defeat for Bauer. The Nelson region welcomed an influx of visitors at the start of the week, providing a significant midwinter boost to the regional economy as delegates arrived to attend the local government New Zealand conference co-hosted by Nelson City and Tasman District Councils. The three-day event, which concluded on Tuesday afternoon, attracted just over 550 delegates, with many bringing their partners along to experience all that the region has to offer. The conference was held at the Rutherford Hotel Conference Centre, in which Mayor Rachel Rees says was a credit to all involved. She says the conference was a great success in many ways. She says delegates she spoke to were impressed with the conference facilities and seemed to have thoroughly enjoyed their stay in Nelson. Many found time to sample our excellent local cafes and restaurants, visit our city retailers and galleries, and a large number extended their trip by at least a day to explore the city further. LGNZ's Chief Executive Malcolm Alexander said that Nelson Tasman was a fantastic region to host the annual LGNZ conference. He says the Rutherford Hotel provided a great space for the large number of delegates, and it was ideal to hold everything under one roof. Council-hosted tours took delegates to visit the World of Wearable Art and Classic Cars Museum and the Cawthron Aquaculture Park, while their partners enjoyed tours which showcased the region's arts, crafts, local wine and craft beer producers, as well as our restaurants, cafes and retail sectors. Many of the LGNZ visitors also took the opportunity to explore the region independently, with the restaurants noticing a spike in diners over the weekend. Kerry Ford from Ford's Restaurant and Bar said they were absolutely flat out on Sunday evening and full for breakfast on Monday and Tuesday mornings. Meanwhile, Ian Williams from the Vic Brew Bar says the conference certainly boosted business for them and others they'd spoken to. He says the Vic was full on Sunday and also Monday evening. He says the free parking is also encouraging people into the city on weekdays, which is critical for our winter trade. According to Nelson Tasman tourism figures, conference attendees were likely to spend up to $450 a day in Nelson, and it seems accommodation providers, retailers and taxis also benefited from the increased number of visitors to our region. Meanwhile, a handful of peaceful TPP protesters awaited the arrival of political leaders outside the local government conference on Tuesday. Nelson man Graham O'Brien, a leading figure behind the TPP protests, has been informing the public and the councils to act now before the TPP agreement is signed to pass a resolution to enable local body councils to reject some of the clauses and have some legal protections if the TPPA is signed in its current form. The concern for many New Zealanders about the TPPA includes intellectual property, pharmaceuticals, the internet and innovation. Professor of Law Jane Kelsey has been expressing her view against the government signing the agreement based on the secrecy of what it contains and leaked TPP documents that have heightened more concerns. Inside the conference, the programme for 2014 was filled with highly regarded speakers discussing key topics such as government and regional performance, the latter of which was addressed by the two main political party leaders and the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research chief economist. Earlier this week, Chrissy Small spoke with opposition leader David Cunliffe about the TPP.
The TPPA is a big issue. A lot of people are a bit frightened by it. Of course, Professor Jane Kelsey has been quite outspoken about the secret nature of it and the leaked documents that have emerged. This really concerns local government as well. Is anyone talking on the TPPA at the LGC?
Look, I haven't been around the meetings where that's been discussed, so I can't answer that question. What I would say is I completely agree that there's a secret process underway on this TPP. The government needs to put the draft agreement into the public domain so that New Zealanders can make up their own minds about what they think about it. What we know is that our people got rolled in the intellectual property chapter. The government is not saying how much extra it will cost for our medicines. If Pharmac gets done over by the pharmaceutical manufacturers, and I'm particularly worried, and so will local government people, about what they call the investor-state dispute settlement provisions, which mean our government could be sued in an international tribunal by a multinational corporation.
Seems to be of benefit only for the multinationals, this agreement, as it's looking.
It's too early to tell. We need the government to put it in the public domain. There may be some benefits for New Zealand exporters, and that'll have to be weighed against the costs to New Zealand firms and to the New Zealand public. And the hardest part is that some of those costs will be immediate and some of them will be spread over many years.
If the agreement is signed, is that binding on any other government?
As with all treaties, once they are signed, they become binding on the government. Now, it's technically possible for a future government to withdraw from the provisions of a treaty, but they'd have to negotiate their way out, and that's a difficult process.
And costly?
And probably costly.
On Tuesday, Prime Minister John Key spoke positively at the conference about regional development.
Most of our regions have a lower unemployment rate than Auckland. In fact, 8 of the 11 regions around New Zealand have a lower unemployment rate than Auckland. Some of the specific things we are doing in the business growth agenda to encourage regional economic development include NZTE's new regional investment attraction profiles, which promote regional investment opportunities to investors, and the new entrepreneur work visa, which encourages business migrants to settle and set up businesses in regional New Zealand. Most of the regional economies are based on our abundant natural resources. So if you have a look at what's happening out there, and there have been some tremendous success stories when you look at that. So Southland's had a good run as a result of dairy conversions. Mid-Canterbury and South Canterbury are doing well because of irrigation, and 5,000 people in Taranaki, either directly or indirectly, earn their incomes from the oil and gas sector. In Northland, it's forestry and dairy. In Hawke's Bay, it's vineyards and horticulture, while the Bay of Plenty is growing with the recovery, of course, of kiwi fruit. Other industries like ICT, high-tech manufacturing and tourism are part of every regional success story, but it's the natural resources sector that drive most growth in the regions. Our challenge, I think, therefore, is to keep growing our regional economies and the jobs that go with it, while also improving our environmental outcomes. That's why the government has tackled some difficult issues which for too long, frankly, have been sidelined.
Leader of the opposition, David Cunliffe, also shed his light on regional development, announcing that Labor will pour $200 million into regional projects.
We also understand that every region is different and has its own strengths. Unlike the current government, we don't believe in a one-size-fits-all answer for everyone, like more dairy cows or more oil exploration. Like I said, Labor is fundamentally about taking the long view. We understand that the kinds of projects and infrastructure required to generate ongoing sustainable wealth in the regions shouldn't stand or fall on whether they make a quick buck or not. I don't think that there's anyone in this room who doesn't know of at least one project that would help grow their region's wealth but just can't get across the line because of a lack of sustainable investment. In my time as regional development spokesperson, I've seen more than a few. Ideas like the Opotiki Harbour development, which would create nearly 300 jobs in a town with twice the national rate of people on the benefit. And the tragic events of recent weeks indicate the importance of creating jobs in communities like that.
Police are very concerned about the number and frequency of fuel thefts from properties in the Nelson Bays area during the past few months, as well as the lengths offenders seemed prepared to go to. Between the 1st of April and the 2nd of July, there were 50 fuel thefts reported from properties between Richmond and Motueka. The incidents have included offenders forcing entry into enclosed yards, siphoning industrial machinery such as diggers parked on the roadside, and siphoning from farm vehicles, farm storage tanks and cars. Fuel tanks have also been taken from boats. The biggest single theft was 1,500 litres of aviation gas in a tanker taken from the Motueka airport. It was later recovered abandoned on Maisie Road in Appleby. In the most recent incident, police believe the offenders may have been disturbed by a property owner's dog in the early hours of Thursday morning while they were attempting to steal diesel at Hope. Cans of diesel were found hidden in a hedge and the family's Labrador was found dead nearby. Sergeant Dave Prentice says police would like to speak to anyone who has information about people involved in this type of offending and anyone who has seen people acting suspiciously. 2 Rocks Road options are on the table for discussion, with feedback now being sought from the public. Transport Agency Regional Performance Manager Mark Owen says the Rocks Road options being consulted on are tailored to the specific needs of the area. Mr Owen says providing cycling and walking facilities is not a one-size-fits-all approach. He says they've worked together with Nelson City Council to develop options which improve walking and cycling facilities for residents and tourists in Nelson, and they're keen to hear the views of the community on their preferred concept at this stage in the project. The feedback period opens on the 24th of July and closes on the 25th of August. The information will be included on the council website. Copies will be available to view at council offices and libraries. The analysis of community feedback will be reported back to council and the Transport Agency and will inform their decision-making on whether this project will progress. Local musician Kath B has taken out the Children's Music Video of the Year Awards for her song Dragons Under My Bed. Her video was open to public voting, in which she was up against 2 other contenders. Here is a clip from her winning video.
Something happens in my room at night. Straight after Mum turns out the light, I hear the giggling from under my bed, and then I see the glowing eyes of red. As if that isn't enough surprise, little puffs of smoke, they start to rise. I hear the breathing deep and strong, and that's when I know there's something wrong.
Each year, to signal the start of the Nelson's main fishing season for hoki and scallops, a commemorative service is held at the Seafarers Memorial on Sunderland Marine Pier, and this is called the Blessing of the Fleet. The event commenced with a fireworks display last Friday night on Sunderland Pier at 7 p.m. This involved around 10 minutes of colourful fireworks from a floating barge. For the next day, as usual, a huge crowd of thousands of Nelsonians gathered at the site for the blessing at midday on Sunderland Pier. This moving ceremony incorporates a minute's silence in memory of those who have lost their lives at sea and helps to strengthen a brotherhood of the sea between seafarers today and their forebears. Music was provided by the local brass band, male voice choir and children from Nelson Christian Academy. Last Sunday, one of our own came oh so close to a major achievement in the world of sport. Golden Bay's Jack Bauer is competing in the world's largest annual sporting event, the Tour de France, and was trying to become the first Kiwi ever to win a stage in the Tour. On Sunday, during the 15th stage of the Tour, Bauer, who rides for the Garmin Sharp team, had put in an unbelievable ride for more than 200 kilometres and led with only a kilometre to go. But with tiring legs and a clutch of sprinters chasing, he was eventually caught with just 50 metres remaining. The 29-year-old was reduced to tears and a dream crushed. He says it's a childhood dream to try to win a stage of the Tour, especially for a Kiwi. Rockin' Out the Roll is an event coming up in the region involving a whole range of local musicians, including country music artist Ali Cook, who have pulled together to get young people aware about getting on the electoral roll.
Rocking Out the Roll concert.
Yeah, it's on Sunday the 3rd of August from 12 till 9. It's a great opportunity to remind particularly young people, hey, if you don't get on the roll, you can't vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain. Be part of the future of your country. Make sure you're on the roll.
Nelson has launched a new office to promote the ongoing Gigatown competition. Members of the community were in attendance to listen to keynote speaker Rod Drury, who spoke about the importance of emerging technologies. David Bryden set up the new Oculus Rift headset technology to give people a taste of what access to gigafibre could help do. Mainland TV's Chrissy Small caught up with Mr Bryden to speak about his latest technology.
Well, we're here at the Gigatown office launch. David Bryden, innovative technology, I guess that's what you're into.
It is, it sure is.
This is an amazing thing. What is it?
This is the Oculus Rift, so the version we're showing today is the first development kit, so quite early days for the technology. And basically it's stereoscopic vision with a wide field of view which draws you in and gives you a sense of presence in a virtual environment.
So this is a 3D environment, is it?
Yeah, so the experience we're doing today is one of the earlier versions, which is a roller coaster experience, and we can get some quite interesting reactions out of it.
So do you build all the graphics, or do you have someone else design this for you?
So this one here is designed by a game developer overseas, I believe in the States. My project is going to be using the Oculus Rift, where I will be designing my own sort of environments, but it will be using different technology.
Okay, and so we've had a few people try it out today. Have you had anyone want to throw up?
No, but we've had quite a few screams already, and we'll probably get a few more.
So have you got a queue waiting to have a go?
It sure looks like it, yeah.
So David, how can people find out more about what you're up to?
So I'll be setting up a blog as part of my final studies at NMIT. I'll be advertising that on the kiwiar.co.nz website, and all my contact details are there as well.
David Bryden, thank you very much. I'm going to have a go at this. I've got my sick bag.
Excellent. All right, let's put you in.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.